Welcome back to the 12th man. Delighted to have a first-time guest, a loyal listener as well, Ryan Ham. And they join us. Big United fan. We're going to be talking about United. We're going to be talking about the other side of Manchester as well as they did for a Champions League final, something that they fell short on. Finally got the final. Can they go on and win it up against Chelsea, who also got through? They actually played each other this weekend in a dress rehearsal, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And we'll also be looking at that disappointing defeat or draw last night for Arsenal, which knocked them out of the Europa League, which was really the only thing they had left in their season.
What's that?
£350 a week, and he's literally doing live streams on Twitter during a game. Like it's embarrassing.
It's madness. Like sometimes I get £350 a week. Not even
so only one quick start for me. Like only the one Saturday. My opinion is like the game of Premier League every Well, Ryan, welcome to the 12th man. Delighted to have you on. Obviously, we've been chatting for a while and we've been getting you on, so it's finally good to get you on for a show.
Happy days. I know. Hey, just back to work and trying to do a wee bit now with these new vans and stuff. So,
it's difficult at the minute to try and work around people to get them on, because it is fighting more difficult now as we move out of lockdown. Like nearly everybody's back at work. Come the next couple of weeks, anyone that was doing hospitality will be back in full capacity with indoor and stuff, and you're looking at just the music industry and relay and stuff that ain't back, so nearly everyone's back. So we're going to have to, as I was saying, the last show, we're going to do something next year, probably have to do weekends or something, probably just Sunday night or something. Then people might be full, so we'll have to try and do something. But hey, great week for English teams, bar Arsenal. Almost a clean sweep. Obviously, Man City were in a very healthy position, got the one. Chelsea, very convincing one over Madrid on Wednesday night. And then United last night were probably the bankers. They were going to be 3-0. Pretty decent game from what I've seen. Defeat in the end, but don't really mean too much when you're free. And then Arsenal last night as well. So we're going to chat about all these teams, but we'll start with City, of course. And I suppose before we start, it's actually great to chat about football and not too much about protests and Super League and stuff. So it's been a nice few days.
I know, sort of the protests and all sort of took everything away from the actual football side of it. Nobody was even talking about the football anymore.
Yep.
No, it's just all about protests and stuff. But the English teams look well. Hey, just bar Arsenal, that Chelsea team looked unreal.
Yeah. This goes to show you again, like, even though we can be quite critical at times, I still think the English Premier League's miles ahead of Spanish, and I know you've got the odd, like Bayern Munich and stuff, who were strong last year, but the league as a whole, you see the fact that Nagelsmann goes from the second best team to the second or third, depending on who you fancy to Dortmund. He goes straight to Bayern Munich. You would never see that happening here. You'd never see, a Chelsea manager going to Man City or a United manager going to. That just wouldn't happen. it's a much more competitive league over here, and that's something that we do enjoy. And again, you're almost on the verge of another two All English finals. We've seen it a couple of years ago with the Europa League and Premier League, and we almost had it again. But again, three English teams in the final. And as you said, it was convincing. Man City, start with them. Went under the game, went under this tie under a bit of pressure because they fell at the quarterfinals and semi-final hurdle before coming up against the PSG team that knocked out Bayern, who were sort of everyone's favourites. And they have that lethal counter attack. They have Mbappe and Neymar and Di Maria who blew Bayern away at times. And they had a really good start in that first leg, but Man City come back and they had got that 2-1, and from really on Tuesday night they were in complete control the whole way through the game. So do you think it was a really mature performance from Man City, and almost you've seen over the years they've panicked, they look more composed, and they almost feel that it's their time now?
I think even last week it was like not just the performance this week, even the second half of last week, from then on it was just completely like they just switched to a different gear.
Yeah.
No, even when they were playing the other night, the whole performance alone, just keeping the ball. Even when Mbappe was out, I didn't think PSG stood a chance at all.
Yeah.
Man City just too strong.
It's key to how they play, isn't it?
Especially Neymar and thing. Like, they need him and Neymar both firing to be anywhere near City.
Yeah. And City, to be fair, if people have accused them before of not getting easy cup runs, and that might well have been true, but they haven't had it this time. They had to play Dortmund, where everyone was raving about Haaland. They've had to play PSG, who put out Bayern Munich, and have Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria. They're quality players. Whereas you look at the other side of the draw, the Chelsea were on, it was probably a bit more favourable. So Man City had to work hard to get here. And I actually, when I was on doing the quarter-final and semi-final draw with Decky and Emmett here, I actually topped the final to be Man City and Chelsea. I thought they were the two more. I think we're on for a great final. But Chelsea, great one on Wednesday. Were you surprised at how poor Madrid were? Do you think that everyone got carried away with that Liverpool one, and really that bar that 45 minutes in the first half against Liverpool, they're a very average team. Some great players, some players that maybe are in the tail end of their career, have been great players, but maybe not so great players anymore. And the Chelsea were just far too good for them.
I don't think it was anything with Madrid being poor. I think it was just Chelsea were far too good for them.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea performance was the best performance of the whole of the European games. It was
especially that second half. They were fantastic.
Brilliant they watched, weren't they? And everybody's
pain when you say it, like, because I'm not Chelsea's. Obviously, I don't like Chelsea, like, but Tuchel's very impressive.
Anybody who's not a Chelsea fan doesn't like him.
No, and hey, they're looking like a real threat. Not just obviously they go into the Champions League. I think it's almost like a 50-50 game. Like, I couldn't call it. I think they're the only team who can go toe-to-toe with City with the players they have. Squad-wise, they're as good as Man City, near enough. They're on that level. And you have to credit Tuchel. When Lampard, they were struggling under Lampard. People, even me, questioned Tuchel coming on. Was it too soon to get rid of Frank Lampard? But you have to say it's worked out really well. And I was reading they've had 24 games under Tuchel. They've had 18 clean sheets. That's incredible. And they missed a lot of chances, to be fair. But they don't need to score a lot of goals because they're so good at the back. So do you think that Man City will be looking at that and Chelsea and thinking we're on for a really, really tough game? And the fact that they put them out of the semi-final the FA Cup a couple of weeks ago, they'll be fearing that this is as tough as a final as they could have got.
I think they would rather play Madrid just because the way they play.
Yeah.
Chelsea are really, really hard to break down. And like you say, you don't get many chances against them and they don't concede many goals.
Yeah. A lot of people were saying about, the England team and Grealish and Foden and stuff, should be starting. But since Tuchel's come on, Mount's come under that sort of, everyone was criticising Southgate for playing Mason Mount, but you have to say since Tuchel's come on, he's been like a different player and he looks a real top player.
I don't think Grealish will get anywhere near it just because he's been out injured and it's been like they still mention his name, but if he had been playing, it would have been different.
Yeah,
I
think you're right.
Just because that wee injury might have pushed him out of the squad a bit.
Yeah, I do think that'll probably cost him. He might get into the squad, but I don't know if he can handle the starting team. And to be honest, he's not really played for a long time, so Southgate might not even take him based on that. But the fact they can name a 26-man squad now.
There's some now they get, doesn't it?
They do eat COVID in case there was anything happens there. I was reading that as long as you have 13 fit players, you'll have to play a game. So So that's I don't see anything like that happening. To be fair, I think the COVID thing is under a bit of wraps, and obviously they're going to be going to different countries. But the players, you've seen the Champions League and the Europa League, there was very few games called off. The players will be well protected, and it is only for a few weeks. So I don't think there'll be too much hassle. You might see the odd game or the odd team pick up the odd COVID, but as soon as it happens, they'll be isolated. And I think they will be able to do it.
No, I think it'll be. I think it's sort of kept under wraps now. I don't think there'll be much cases in the football scenes.
Yeah. Right? See the Man City Chelsea final. Obviously they played last week, but the final. Do you think that's a great game for the neutral? Do you think a lot of people that are obviously United fans might want Chelsea to win, Spurs, Arsenal fans might want Man City to win just for that rivalry? But in terms of neutrals, do you think that's probably the best game available? When it came to the semi-finals, that was a game that everyone would have wanted.
Well, if Man City play the way they do and Chelsea play the way they played against Madrid, you're laughing. Like you were, I was watching your show a couple weeks ago, like you said, was it Bayern Munich and PSG was probably the best game of football you've seen in a while?
Nah.
That game.
Yeah.
I think if this lives up to the way they were playing the last couple of weeks, it'll be even better.
Do you think it's a very 50-50 game? Do you find that there's no real favourites for it? Because I know Man City are probably going to be favourites because they're going to win the Premier League. They're brilliant under Pep Guardiola. They've got probably players that are more used to being in these type of games. But Chelsea, they've been playing so well since Tuchel come in. There's a real belief they don't really concede goals. Similar to Man City, and they've got firepower that it's very difficult to call.
See, if you had asked me a couple of weeks ago, I would have said City because City were hanging, but I think City went off the boil a bit. No, even I don't know.
It'll be interesting because I think Chelsea can play different ways. I think Chelsea will probably let Man City have the ball and soak up the pressure, and I think they've got that counter attack as well. But they also, if they went 1-0 down, have got the players to control possession and get at them. You see a lot of their games. Tuchel seems to have a lot of the ball, but then you've seen the game against Madrid in the first half. They only had 33% of the ball, and they still won 1-0 in that first half, and they look very dangerous. So, do you think that Chelsea are better equipped in terms of if Man City's plan A doesn't work, Chelsea can really exploit them?
Well, I don't think Man City might play one way, and it's control. I think you're right. I don't think City can switch anything up whereas Chelsea can. I think at 5 at the back, Chelsea or City will find it really, really hard to break down.
You've seen that semi-final a couple of weeks ago. Chelsea beat them 1-0, and they were very comfortable. Man City didn't turn up. We can maybe say it had an off day. They've had a lot of games. It's hard to know how much this weekend's game will have any bearing on that final because Man City are 1-1 away, and they will want to try and get it over and done with as quick as possible. Chelsea, to be fair, still fighting, but it's not a must-win game for Man City. It's probably a must-win game for Chelsea, and they're probably more riding on it for them because if Chelsea do beat Man City this weekend, Man City will probably just win it the week after, because they've got enough games there. Do you think that it's, although saying that, it's crucial for Man City they don't lose this game because that'll be 2 defeats in a row against Chelsea and going into that final under a bit more pressure?
That's what I was just about to say. They say, I think it's even more important because they're playing each other in a final now. They're going to go play each other, and the winner will just have a wee bit of bragging rights now.
Yeah. It's funny because if watching that game at Stamford Bridge at Christmas time, and it was sort of the time you thought Lampard was going to get sacked. I think he was sacked about 2 weeks after, but Man City ran them ragged, and it sort of started that big run Man City went on. I think they won 3-0, and they were scored 3 goals in the first 30 minutes, and they could have won 6 or 7-0. How far Chelsea have come since then is madness. It's the same players, but it's just completely different tactics. They're playing for the manager. And you look at that semi-final when they beat City 1-0, it was like chalk and cheese watching them 2 games. So it will be interesting. By the final, they'll play each other 4 times this year. So again, and the fact they've played each other twice after this weekend in such quick succession, there's not going to be too many surprises. Both teams will know each other quite well. So do you think that Tuchel, he's the one that'll try and maybe change something up? Pep can be quite, I know he does change formations quite a lot, but his style rarely ever changes. Do you think Tuchel might try and spring a surprise in that final?
I don't know. You never know because he's making 2 or 3 changes. He changes the left back nearly every other game. He changes the right back every other game. I don't know what they'll do.
It's a lot of managers get criticised for chopping and changing quite a lot, but these 2 managers, especially since Tuchel's come in and Guardiola for most of the season, since November onwards, do make a lot of changes for games because they've got a big squad. But you often see when that happens, results don't quite go the way. There's start of his player unrest because everybody wants to play and they're not happy getting dropped. But why do you think these 2 managers are getting it so right so much that doesn't matter what team they pick or who they rest or who they bring in, they all seem to want to be playing. And do you think it's just healthy competition, and because they're winning games, they all want to play the next game, therefore their performances are just of a high level every week?
I think it's just everybody's busting their balls. They try getting that team.
Yeah.
Like you say, everybody's working, and just the competition is unreal. Why would you not want to play for them two managers? No. Load of change, even from Lampard. It's the same players. You didn't buy nobody else. And how far they came. I think we're in ninth in the league or something. Or a final, FA Cup final, Champions League, and looking at, I reckon they'll get fourth spot. If you had said that day, Chelsea fans, the week Lampard gets sacked, you would have laughed at you.
There's no doubt when Lampard was on there and they were sort of languishing 8th, 9th in the table before they get sacked, that you knew that squad of players was underachieving. You knew that they had the players to be at least minimum top 4, and then push on. But the fact that they just done so quickly is quite surprising. Everyone's sort of thinking when a manager comes on mid-season, it's almost about the year after. They just give him, it's like a transition period. But the fact he's done it so quick is really impressive. And I am really looking forward to that final. I think it's going to be quality. So if you move on to last night's games, Europa League, United went on there 6-2 ahead. Barring any miracle, it was going to be, United were through. And in the end, they managed the game quite well. And despite losing, 8-5 over 2 games is pretty convincing. So were you very happy the fact that you looked at the semi-final draw and you thought that Roma was much more difficult than Villarreal if you were looking at it from the two English teams? And we've seen Roma knocking out Ajax. They're quite resilient. They've stood long periods of pressure without the ball against Ajax. But United went down there, and after that first half, you're sort of fearing, oh my God, we could be out. And then they went out and had that second half performance and blew them away. So do you think that United should get a lot of credit for that result? That result over 2 legs, and it's a really sort of significant point for Solskjaer. He's broke that semi-final duck, and it's now time for the fans to get behind him.
But I don't think you can judge anything in that performance last night. Just not that the game was meaningless, but I didn't think there was anything to judge it on. I seen a thing on I've seen Talk Sports talking about there was Man United or De Gea made 19 saves last night.
Yeah,
the most ever in a European game, 19 saves. But you think about the result, they won the 8-5 over 2 legs. It's crazy.
I know why. Do you think that the fact they broke that semi-final, Doug, now that United fans will back Solskjaer, do you think he has to win that final? I know a lot of fans are backing him, but there is some out there that still doubt him. Do you think he has to win that final? They prove the people that he's still the right man to lead them forward.
I think fans are still not sketchy about him, but like he'll probably go and win that and then lose 4 games in a row. It's just the way it is now. They're really not consistent. Like you always get a good performance and then they would like lose 2 or 3 games and then people will be like, oh, for fuck's sake, not again. And then he would get a really, really good one. Like not that long ago, he was fans were talking about sacking him and then they get that really good one against City, mind. And then I think this is just the same thing. So hopefully he just get a good result against I
was going to say, do you think that obviously, from a United perspective, who would you rather played in the final? Would it have been Arsenal or Villarreal?
I haven't really seen much of Villarreal apart from that Arsenal game, but I rather played Arsenal.
You'd rather played Arsenal?
Aye.
And I was actually chatting to a lot of fans. I was asking them before, obviously, during the week, because it was pretty obvious United were going to be in the final. So it was sort of one of the other two, and I was asking some United fans who they were played, and most of them were actually saying Villarreal, because United's recent record against Arsenal hasn't been great. But the only thing about the thing that people might be missing about Villarreal, does the Unai Emery record worry? The fact he's won 3 finals before,
he's been there.
He knows how to win this competition. Do you think that if you look at Solskjaer, he's not been in a final of Europa League before, that might be the only thing that counts against United?
I think it is. Like, how many finals have been on? 3, or he's been in 4 finals?
He's been in 4 finals actually. Emery, he lost his last one with Arsenal, but he did win 3 with Sevilla.
It's crazy record.
And I was actually saying, he's only 49. Like, there's not many managers at 49 have been to 4 European finals. Like, crazy. Like,
not even his age. There's not many managers have been to 4 European finals. Never mind 49.
Yeah, I know why. That's it.
But it does worry me because it was like when Real Madrid were playing Liverpool. Liverpool fans were worried just because Real Madrid have the know-how of what they do and getting over the line. I can't see the thing. I think United will be too strong for them. I really, really do.
No, I do think United are huge favourites for the final. Player for player, they're a lot stronger. Villarreal they're not setting the world on fire in the Spanish league. And if you looked at the two games against Arsenal, they're very good in that first half, in the first game, but Arsenal were very poor for the two games. And even last night, Arsenal, one goal would have sent them through, and they just couldn't get it done. We're going to chat about Arsenal in a minute, but Villarreal, I think United fans will be looking at that very, very confident. You're not going to. Will Ollie ever get a better chance? They won a trophy at United?
I don't think so. And if he doesn't want it, I think there'll be a lot of fans on his back.
Yeah.
Like
if he does want it, right? If he does want it, and it looks like they're going to finish second in the league, do you think that every fan, whether they like him or not, has to say he's done really well this season? I actually think I said it in the last podcast. Finishing second this year in the league, do you think that was an overachievement for United at the start of the season? That wasn't really expected in terms of the players that they have. You look at Chelsea's squad. Chelsea probably have more firepower and more better quality all around their squad. You look at Liverpool, who won the league the year before. Was there an argument that United have to overachieved in the league this season for you?
United, like Liverpool and Man City, you were thinking we're going to go again and be battled out between them two, and it's always a risk in for third and fourth spot.
Yeah,
for United to finish second, I think he's doing well. Like if you had asked any United fan at the start of the season, second spot in the European final, they would have took a hand off you. But I think fans should get behind Ollie, but I don't think they will.
Yeah. Are you confident for a final? Do you think United will win it?
I don't want to. I'm confident, but there's still a wee bit there.
To be fair, it's one of them ones. See, until you won that first trophy with a manager, it's always a bit of and he's been in semi-finals before. In fairness, he's never been to a final, so it is like it's not like he's going to never be a bad record in finals. It's hard to know. But the only thing I can see that might count against United is the fact that Emery's been there in a final, knows what he won. But at the end of the day, you're only as good as your players, and if United's players turn up, they should be far too strong for Villarreal.
Hey, but I think he should have rested a couple of players the other night. Like he played Harry Maguire, Bruno for 75 minutes, 80 minutes. They didn't need to be on the pitch.
Like, I don't know if you've seen it this week, right? See if you come to the fixture schedule of the games, right? Have you seen that Liverpool rearranged fixture?
Thursday.
So United will play, is it 4 games in 8 days? So they'll play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, something like that. 4 games in 7 days or something like that. Something crazy. Do you think? I know, and it is one of them ones. If you look at the calendar, they had to do something like that because all games they kick off on the final day at the same time. They avoid any integrity issues because there is going to be top 4 up for grabs and stuff like that there. So they have to do something like that. But do you think that that's a major blow for United, that they'll probably have to rest players for maybe that Liverpool game? United will beat Liverpool, but if you look at it, it's one of them games where the big prize is going to be Europa League. And they might have to just, over the next few games in the Premier League, just maybe not field the strong teams and maybe rest Fernandes, rest Pogba, rest Rashford. What do you think?
I think come the Liverpool game, another one, it's another 4 points or something they need, and that's them and Singer 3 points, and they're like mathematically I think come the Liverpool game they'll not need to do it, but United and Liverpool's biggest game I see in the world. I don't think you can afford to rest players, or United fans will want to win.
The argument does as well, right? The argument does that even though go ahead. I
was going to say I didn't think they're going to call that game off because they have no time for the thing. I was shocked when the game was called off. We were actually talking about it. You thought it was going to get called off because there's no time to squeeze on games this season. Like 4 games in 7. What is it? 4 games in 7 or 8 days is.
The only thing I would say about it, Han, right, is that the only thing that maybe you can complain about is United were the reason the game was called off. If Liverpool had done the protest, and you can sort of argue from a United point of view, but the fact that United fans got the game called off, can they really have too many complaints about the game being rescheduled where it is?
I suppose not. Like, it's fault of their own action.
I can understand the players and the manager not being happy because it wasn't their fault. But at the same time, the fans organised the protest. Rightly or wrongly, we've talked about it quite a bit. I'm not going to talk any more about it. But that was the reason the game couldn't go ahead. So, United fans might have to look at it and go, well, maybe in hindsight we should have waited the last game of the season or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Whenever it was meaningless and, well, not meaningless, I think they just wanted to make a point because it was Liverpool Man United.
Yeah. I think that was why they did it, because it is the biggest game in English football. They wanted to do it on that day, get the game called off. It would make global news, and the Glazers would come under pressure. But you've seen the Glazers since; they haven't really done anything. I think there was a Sky News try to film them, and they just sort of waved it off. They're not interested, and as we said before, it's very difficult to get owners out if they don't want to be moved.
They'll not get out of the club. Why would they?
No, this is it. And if we move on to the other game last night, Arsenal against Villarreal, I really thought that Arsenal would have turned this around. I thought that Villarreal would have regretted not seeing that first game out 2-0 up, cruising against 10 men, and they ended up just 1-2-1. I thought that away goal was crucial, and I fancied Arsenal to at least score, and make it a real game, but it just really never got going for them. It just petered out and just looked like Arsenal. It looks like Arsenal players ain't really behind Arteta, because if you look at that game last night, big massive game, chance to get to a final. You can say they've had a really poor season in the league, but if they won that cup, it all gets rewritten. They run the Champions League, and nobody really cares where they finish, because they've set out to achieve what they wanted at the start of the season. But the fact that the players didn't really turn up, there's rumours today that there's too many. He's given too many instructions out. Players feel that they can't express themselves because they're having to worry about position, where they are positionally. There's a bit of an arrogance about them, and stuff like that there. So do you think that last night shows you that, or they're maybe not have down tools, but the players ain't 100% behind them?
I don't think he should have got a job in the first place. I think that's him done now. I think by the end of the season he'll be gone. I really think he'll be gone. Aye, I do.
Do you think that result last night makes his position untenable? The fact they're going to finish, it looks like, barring a miracle, they're going to finish with European football for the first time in 25 years. Their lowest league finish, and the amount of games they've lost at home and stuff. The fans, I actually watched the AFTV last night, and some of the fans were back on Arteta, have now turned, and it looks like the whole fan base is against them. So do you think now it's just a matter of time before he's sacked?
I really do. I was watching AFTV myself too. Even when he was making subs, the boys on the channel cracking up with taking a Aubameyang off and bringing Willian on.
Yeah.
They went crazy. I don't know if you've seen the video or not. Everyone, boys going.
I've seen that, and there is our criticism of the Arsenal fans that they have is apparently in games they wait too long to make subs as well. I know them. We'll chat about that sub last night anyway, but I think last night he would have after 60 minutes before he made the first sub. When you seen after the first half, it wasn't really working. Some of the Arsenal fans have said they don't really know what the style of play is, the identity is, what they're trying to do on the pitch. And then you seen that sub last night. Aubameyang's just hit the post. 10 minutes to go. At that point, the only way it could have went to extra time last night was 2-1 Arsenal. And the fact there was only 10 minutes left, it was obvious that one goal for Arsenal was going to probably send them through. There wasn't going to be extra time. So why not leave him on for the next 10 minutes? He's your most dangerous player. He's your top goal scorer. And even though he's not been having a great season, he's still your most dangerous goal threat, and he brings him off. Crazy.
I know I don't see it. That's like you're Spurs fans. Like using a final, you need to win 1-0. They're taking Harry Kane off and bringing on the likes of Lucas or somebody. The substitution was crazy, and the player brought on Willian. Arsenal fans hit him. They really lost the plot whenever they signed him.
Willian hasn't even scored, and this is the most. Willian hasn't even scored a goal all season, and he brings them on. Crazy. Owen St. United fans are trying for a protest on Thursday as well. There you go. I hope not, because we don't want to see any more games called off. But I think they've made their point now, and I hope. If they're going to protest every game until the owners leave, if that's the case, United they're not going to be playing any games. They'll have to move all your games to a neutral venue. But with Arteta, do you think that it was a huge mistake to give him the job in the first place? He had no managerial experience, already worked with Pep Guardiola. But being a good number two doesn't necessarily make you a good number one. We've seen it with Paul Clement, with Zidane. We've seen it with Karanka and Mourinho, managing in the Championship for the last few years. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a top-level manager. And on the 18 months we've seen him here in charge, bar the FA Cup run, which was excellent. Their league form, they finished 8th last year. They're going to finish 10th, 9th, 10th this year. Looking back at it, and even if you look back to the time, there were some Arsenal fans that couldn't believe they gave Arteta the job. But you think now it's a huge mistake, and it's set them back now even further?
I think they didn't think it was because this cup run they have, no European run. Like before that, no, you think about it, if they had won that European Cup, you're like, oh, but we won the European Cup, they have Champions League football. But that loss now, they're 10th spot in the league.
Yeah.
It's unjustifiable for a team like Arsenal.
Yeah. I'll be very shocked if he's managing the first game of next season. I don't think they'll sack him until the end of the season. Basically, because they've got nothing to play for now, and I think they'll just ride it out until the end of the season. But I do think his whole, because of where they are in the league, had he won that Europa League, they have a chance of staying on his job.
It's the only way I could have seen him keeping his job was won the Europa League. But do you not think they'll get rid of him now, bring somebody in to see what they need, and then probably they're going to find it difficult to try to get players. Like,
yeah. Do you think that Arteta is just part of the problem with Arsenal? All right, he hasn't done that. He hasn't done that great. But you look at Emery, who he's an established European manager. He's got Villarreal, a European Cup final. Who nobody would have fancied Villarreal at the start of the season to get there. He won it 3 years in a row with Sevilla. He went down there, and I think they finished fifth, a point off fourth, and they got beaten in the final by Chelsea. And then they obviously had a poor start that season. He was sacked, and apparently the players stopped playing for him. There was a language barrier and stuff because he didn't have great English. But do you think that him going on there and failing, Wenger going on, at the end sort of failed a bit. He done really well for years, Wenger, towards the end of his career. He just getting them into the top four with very limited funds. That you've seen Arteta, that's 3 managers in the last sort of 6 or 7 years that they're all failing. And if you look at the players Arsenal have available, you would say that they're much better than their league position shows. Aubameyang, top quality player. You look at Tierney's been brilliant this season. The Arsenal will definitely have a squad capable of finishing in the top 6 or 7. Do you think that any managers going to struggle because of the issues with the board? The fans are quite toxic towards the board. And with the fans coming back next year, it's going to get even worse because you've seen Arsenal doing a lot of protests. Is it a poison chalice at the minute, that Arsenal manager? Whoever it is going to struggle.
I think that it's from the board down. Really, that Cronky boy. None of the Arsenal fans are really, really want him with the club. Never mind the Glazer.
If you look at the league form the last 2 years, like they've almost become like a mid-table club. Arsenal really need to change something because at the minute they're sliding down the league table, and we've seen it. I'm not saying they're going to do a Newcastle or a Leeds, but we've seen it before. When teams start sliding, sometimes it can be difficult to stop it. They have to change something. If the board are going to stay, they're going to have to restructure the club, get the right manager in. But do you sort of think that the board don't really care at the minute, that they're just sort of taking the money out of the club and they don't really care too much about what's happening on the pitch?
The football wise, I think so. I think ever since like the last year or two, Wenger's reign, it's been downhill since then.
Yeah. But the one thing I would say, right, is this is going to be the big turning point for Arsenal, I think, because the fact they're not going to be in Europe next year, the Arsenal board is going to lose a lot of money. Out of not being in any European competition, so they've lost that European cash injection. Now I've read that there's going to be very little money to spend in the summer for Arteta if he is the manager or the next manager, because they're a self-sustaining club, and it's all about they can only basically they'll have to sell, they buy now, and they haven't got a lot of players there that you look at the likes of Aubameyang. They're not going to get big money from because he's in his 30s. They're not going to want to sell Saka or Smith Rowe because of their young players, and that's fair enough. They're probably the most positives Arsenal have from this season, that they've got a couple of young players like Martinelli who's not really been playing, which is strange. But do you think that the board are going to have to do something now because the lack of funds? They're going to be hit hard in terms of sales. There's Arsenal are going to go from playing 50 games to 38 games because they're not going to have group stage Europa League games. They're not going to have knockout games. It's going to be less money coming into the club.
Do you think they'll struggle? See if they do sack Arteta. Do you think we finish in 10th and no European football whatsoever? They'll struggle to get a new manager, like a top quality manager?
I think they will too. I can't see them getting a top quality manager. I know a lot of people say Arsenal's a big club, but they'll look at Arsenal at the minute and they'll think there's so much uncertainty with the board, the fans, the players. A lot of these players have failed the last few managers, from underperforming at big games. The fans are really unhappy with the board. The board don't really seem to give anything to the fans. I actually feel sorry for Arsenal at the moment a wee bit because they're fans that they deserve a lot more. But I've been saying the same as Spurs fans. They deserve a lot more than what they're getting at the moment as well. But we'll move on to the weekend's games. Some big ones on there. Starts tonight, Leicester against Newcastle. How do you see that game going?
Don't know. How Newcastle's playing well recently.
I did that bad result last week, but I think it was only their first defeat in 7 or 8 games. So
I still fancy Leicester though. I think Leicester will be too strong. I see 2-0, 2-1.
you think Leicester will win?
2-0 or 2-1.
2-0, 2-0. I think Leicester will win as well. I think Newcastle have hit that point of the season where they know they're stiff. And that intensity they were going to play with in the last few weeks is gone. So I think Leicester will win this. If Leicester weren't to win this, it would really open up that top 4 battle because they've got 3 tough games to finish. Chelsea, United, and Spurs. That would be a really tough finish for them. But I do think they'll get the one here. I'm going to go for a 2-1-1. Moving on to Saturday, 12:30 tomorrow. Leeds against Spurs. I'll not see the game because I'm away in Belfast for football. But part of me thinks that all right, Leeds will be difficult, but they haven't got a lot to play for. And you've seen them against Brighton last week. Brighton beat them quite convincingly. And if Spurs turn up here and play well, they can win. So how do you see it going, Ham?
Depends what Spurs turn up.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, you seen last week when if you can get Bale firing, you still got a top player. How he's not been playing more games is criminal. I'm not saying he should play every game, but against the top teams, I can understand maybe not playing him because you have to be a bit more protection because you can't just bomb forward. Bay's a luxury player. He's not going to do that much tracking back and stuff. And to be fair, you've seen him against teams like Sheffield and Burnley this year. You give that man chances, he's going to score goals.
He can hit a ball, can't they? Leeds be too open to back. It's just see Harry Kane, Bale, and Son having a field day with him. I think it'll be.
Do you know what? This will be quite an open game because Spurs have to win every game. They make sure they have any chance of finishing in the top 4. It's a slim one, but if they did win all 4 games, they have a slight outside chance. And Leeds, we know they only play one way, so I can see goals here, to be honest.
That's what I was saying. I think it's going to be a big scoring game. I'll say a 3-2 Spurs.
3-2 Spurs. I'm going to go 3-1 Spurs. I think they're going to get the one here. I do tend to. I'd be very skeptical. Well, I do fancy if they won this game tomorrow, and I'm actually raising. I'm not going to see it, but Sheffield United against Crystal Palace. It's pretty much a nothing game. Sheffield are down, relegated. Palace have nothing to play for. They're safe. Hodgson's probably going to step down at the end of the season. His contract's up. A lot of the Palace players' contracts are up, so it probably won't be a great watch, Tom.
I know. I'll say something myself. I'll not be watching it anyway. I'll say a 1-0 Palace.
1-0 Palace. I'm going to go the same. 1-0 Palace. The big one, 5:30, Man City against Chelsea. If Man City won this game, they'll be champions. Do you think that they'll get the job done here?
Don't know. Chelsea might hull them out for a 0-0. Just to drag it out and then have doubt on the Champions League final. And that's the space of 2 weeks in. I'll knock them in the FA Cup and dribble them in the league. No. So I don't know about that one. I'll go a draw. One each draw.
One each draw. You're sitting on the fence. You know what? I'm going to put my Spurs hat on here, and I'm sort of hoping that Chelsea are going to draw points because Chelsea have quite a difficult running. They've got City away. They've got Arsenal at home, which people might think is pretty favourable now, but they've got Arsenal at home, which is notoriously tough. Leicester at home, which is not going to be easy, and Villa away, who've been doing well this season. So they've got 4 tough games on there, all against teams in the top half of the table. And I'm sort of hoping that Man City can beat them here, and it will make it quite interesting. So I'm going to go for a Man City 2-1-1. Leicester against Southampton. Liverpool against Southampton at 8:15. It's a must-win game for Liverpool if they're going to have any chance of finishing in the top 4.
Liverpool's the same as Spurs. It depends what Liverpool turns up.
The only thing I would say is Southampton. I think they got a good draw last week, but they against Leicester with 10 men, but they've not been playing well. And
so they've not.
Liverpool be looking at this as a good chance to get 3 points.
I'd say so, but sure, Southampton have nothing to play for either. So I'll say a 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. I'm going to go for a 1-0 Liverpool one. They've not been scoring a lot of goals at home, but I think they'll just do enough here to win this one. 1-0 Liverpool. Moving on to Sunday, Wolves against Brighton, 12 o'clock. Wolves have really had a brick wall. To be fair to their manager, I think he's had a lot of problems to deal with injuries and stuff, and they're losing Jota. They've lost basically all their threat, bar Neto up front. And with a player, they've had to change their style, and he's done well to keep them up in the league. But I think that their manager will be thinking that he's probably had the right time that Wolves, they probably move on. He's got a decent reputation. I think this will be the chance for him this summer to move on. If he looks at Spurs and Arsenal, could be looking for a new manager. Spurs are looking for a new manager. Arsenal could be looking for a new manager. This could be a chance for Nuno to step up.
Would you take him on Spurs?
I wouldn't personally. No, I would prefer the Brighton manager, Graham Potter. He would be my choice. And I actually seen a report this week that from Alistair Gold, who's Spurs' most trusted journalist. He says that the last time Spurs played Brighton, they actually got beat 1-0. But the players were very impressed with how Brighton played, and there's a very much an attitude in the dressing room. If Potter was the Spurs manager next season, they'd be very happy with that. So I don't know if that'll have any bearing on Spurs appointing a new manager, but you look at it, I think Rodgers will stay at Leicester. Ten Hag looks like he can only stay at Ajax. There's not too many out there, and I think Potter's probably going to be one of the favourites for the job now.
I think Brendan Rodgers is still favourites in the bookies, but I can't see him leave.
I just don't see him leaving Leicester to go to Spurs. I just don't see it.
You'd love to, but
not unless Leicester collapse and don't finish in the top 4. But then again, if that happens, you would raise big question marks about Rodgers himself. You'd be thinking, well, do we want this boy here? So I would be more than happy to take Potter. Honestly, I've said that from the start. I really want him. There's something about it. There's just the way he plays football.
Would you take him over?
I've said it weeks ago. The way he plays football, the way Brighton's been, Brighton's, I think they're 4th in the expected goals table. I know that doesn't mean a lot, but with better players, I think Potter would have that Brighton team flying. And I think if it comes on the Spurs, they can work with young players and get a few decent signings on. We could be decent there next year. We could be up there, maybe challenging for top 4, maybe pick up a trophy. We're long overdue.
Aye, due one for definite.
But getting back to the game, Wolves Brighton, how do you see it going?
No.
I think Wolves are really struggling. I think Brighton are playing with confidence. I'm going to go for a Brighton 2-0 win. 2 o'clock, 2:05, Villa against United. Villa again, good one last week against Everton, but they've been very, very up and down since Grealish left. They've had a lot. Probably at the worst spell of the season, and that's coincided with Grealish being out. United, it'll be God knows what will happen if Man City won on Saturday. This is very much a meaningless game for United, but if Man City weren't to win, United will have a duty to go out there, and the title will still be mathematically possible. But how do you see it going? I think it's a nice game for United, to be honest.
2-0, yes.
2-0. I think you're right there. I think United 2-0. I think they'll enjoy playing Villa. They've a great record away at Villa. And I think the way Villa play will suit them. This is a big game. West Ham, Everton, 4:30. West Ham 3 points behind Chelsea. 4 games to go. Who would have thought it? If you look at their fixtures, this is probably the hardest fixture they have left. Everton at home, who've been struggling recently. The Everton have had a brick wall. Tell you what, if Man City would have beat Chelsea and West Ham would have beat Everton, they'd be level going into the last 3 games, and God knows what can happen. Can you really see West Ham in the Champions League next season?
You'd love to see it. Just if Spurs don't make it, you would love to see West Ham there.
Aye.
But
they've got every chance. I mean, if Chelsea are going to slip up, West Ham are the team in the position, or they're the team with the most points closer to them. They can take advantage of that, and their fixtures are favourable. So there's no reason they can't do it. But will they be able to withstand the pressure? I mean, they've never been in this position before. We've seen a lot of their games have been very, very nervy. 3-2s on there and stuff. So can they win this game on Sunday?
I don't think they will. I think just even like games are going 3-0 up and they're still nearly drawn.
Yep.
I'll say a 1-8 in this.
1-8. I think they'll win this game. I'm going to go 2-1. Arsenal against West Brom. Pretty much. Well, West Brom they have to win this. They have any chance of staying up. If they lose this, they're going to be relegated. They're 10 points behind me, 12 available. It's very much impossible. They have to win all 4 games. They have a chance. Arsenal, not a lot to play for after that week, and God knows what kind of mood they'll be in. How do you see it going?
I think it's a goal. I think Arsenal will just be deflated after that Europa League loss.
I think West Brom are going to win this. I think they've been playing pretty well recently. Allardyce has got them going too late, but they've been picking up points. And Arsenal have got nothing to play from. We've seen them struggle at home against these kind of teams. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Brom win.
I'll go 1-8 as well. I see it.
And the last game of the weekend, Fulham against Burnley. Fulham have to win this to try and stay up. It's going to be very difficult. I mean, I think they could be relegated actually if they lose this too. Burnley they're the team just above them. There's 9 points between them, so it's going to be very difficult. But if they won this, they've got a slight outside chance. How do you see it going?
I'll go for a Fulham 1. I've not recently, but they were on a wee bit of a run there. Playing some good stuff.
Yeah.
I say 1-0 1.
I think Fulham have been very unlucky. Just a lack of quality in the attacking areas has cost them. They've created chances, but just not put the goals away, and it's something we've seen before by our teams. But Burnley have been playing really well recently, and I'd love to see Fulham go and win this, but I just think it'll be I think the way Burnley are playing, they're going to be resilient. Burnley know a point will be enough to secure their status, and I think they'll get that point. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. But thanks very much for coming on. Really enjoyed the chat.
No worries. Anytime.
What's that?
No worries. Anytime.
I'm glad you enjoyed coming on, and as I said, I may get you on before Europa League final and we'll probably do a big podcast for United fans around that time. So hopefully get 3 or 4 of you on and we'll chat about how you started supporting United and stuff and the history and stuff. Almost like we made Mickey Mac a few weeks ago with Spurs and a few weeks before that the Liverpool special. So we'll try and do United special before that Europa League final. And I'll give you a shout for that. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more podcasts. I've got a big one coming on Tuesday. I'm going to announce who the special guest is on Sunday. I don't want to give too much away in case he lets me down, but you all know him. He does feature on YouTube. On one of them big fan channels. He's coming from. He's going to be broadcasting from England, so it's great to have him on. I'll let you know on Sunday if that's definitely going ahead. That'll be a big one. I'll see you later. Right, top man. Thanks very much.